Hello, I am Nova SC, and I'm bringing you this game because it shows you fairly well how to deal with a lot of aggression um, in this situation, big Zergling aggression, how to deal with that after going for a one gate fast expand, which is fairly common, and I feel no sound. There is sound, it's just really low. That's how it's supposed to be. So let's carry on. I'm going for this one gate expand. So obviously I'm going to be placing a pylon in my main, and I use this formation like I do in Protoss versus Protoss, so I have a little slit here to micro against Zerglings, and that will end up being quite helpful. Also what you can do is just wall off here, which is also pretty good. I don't know what I prefer really, they both have their advantages. This is weaker against things like ranged units like roaches, and it can be annoying because it restricts your movement later in the game, so there's pluses and minuses for each side of the argument. So here's my opponent. He's going to be getting gas fairly early for speed. He's going to also be expanding, so I'm not sure what build this was. I thought it might have been a 14-14, but the speed was quite late for that, so let's have a see. He scouts me out, and that's quite a good thing to do. I don't see every Zerg doing that. Not a big expert on the scout timings of Zerg, but the scout timings that Zerg use. But this can be quite annoying, this scout, because often you'd like to hide some things if you're going for like a 2-gate pressure, which is fairly rare, but still. So here's the gas coming down. So sort of like a delayed 14-14. So what was that? 15-15, 16-16, something like that. I think this is going to work out. He has 100 when this finishes. And yeah, I think so. I really want to see it. Okay. I guess because he's on more drones he can get this slightly earlier. The difference between this going down and this going down is smaller, so he doesn't get the 100 straight away. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, now he's expanding, so this is very aggressive. He's getting speed before expand, and I'm going for a very flimsy one gate expand because I'm not going to have many walls. Not many nice walls. I'm not going to have many units, and I'm not going to have cannons, so this is going to be really hard to deal with. So I'm just going to get my expansion down before third pylon. I'm going to use the third pylon to help me wall off here. So expand's going down, it's good. If we look at units, which is what I like to look at, it's more useful. And we can see that he's heavily behind in drones. 4 is a massive difference at this point in the game, especially for a Zerg. So he's massively behind in drones because he's cutting his workers for Zerglings, which he isn't rallying straight away, which is silly. So we're sending all the Zerglings in. You're setting a drone, not sure why he's doing that, but I'm sure there's a reason. I think he's going. This is like he's going for like a semi all in here. I mean, he doesn't have to do a huge amount of damage for it to pay off, but he's going to have to get something done here because he's made his cut workers a hell of a lot. And if I've gone for a one gate expand, I shouldn't be this far ahead in workers. And I'm trying to sneak a probe out to do a proxy, but that's going to get shut down. I see the speed, so I'm walling myself in here. Got that on hold position, made a little wall here, and I need to be careful. I need to get these morphed in straight away. I need to be really careful about when I use my overcharge. I need to be shutting down this pylon. I should really put another pylon here to back that up. So here I'm using the slit. Don't use it to the best of my ability, but it still helps out a little bit. Running my probes away, using the pathing trick, clicking on the minerals. Make sure I don't keep them off mining for as little time as possible. And the pylon's going down, and I just managed to get one warp in, which isn't ideal. And here I use the photon overcharge, and this is just to protect these gateways, the main thing. And it's going to force them into this base with my probes, so that I can defend them more easily. If this were to go down, I'd be way far ahead. I mean, far behind. So it's almost as important as my probes at this point. So now this is here, I can reinforce this with 2 more pylons, so I can get some more units in. Taking some losses. He knows how important this is to me, so he's trying to focus this down. But because of the photon overcharge, I don't think that was the best choice at all. I don't like that choice, and it is coming back to like to hurt him quite a lot. And he's wasted a lot of Zerglings here, and this has got a lot of 17 kills. This has got a lot of kills to really pay for itself. So when going for this type of expand, Bel'Shir core really pays off. Get that as soon as possible. So I'm starting to warp in sentries now. I built up a big bank of gas while I was defending that, and before I pulled these guys off, obviously. So I'm going to use that to get some sentries in. And it's important to get sentries at this point so that you can do a counter-attack. And the counter-attack isn't to kill your opponent, it's to ensure that your opponent's on 2 base. So that we don't want them taking this or this base, or they'll be too far ahead of us to catch up. So we get the sentries and some zealots to do a force back, to do a push back. And this is even good against roaches if you micro properly. This sort of push. So if you can see here, I'm ahead in workers now, and he's made a lot of Zerglings, and he was hoping to do a lot more damage than he did, but I've handled this quite well. But making these Zerglings here is also to prevent me from moving out and give him some map control so that he can drone up. But of course, making this many isn't ideal. So we should be trying to expand at this point. Or maybe he's played quite well and he's playing quite well and to realise that I'm going to do this sort of push, so he's not trying just yet. So I have lots of energy built up, and I'm going to have lots of force fields to make this army directly counter this army. So I've got a whole 4 gateways up. That's all I really need to do a push, as long as I keep macroing properly. And I push out. So remember, this isn't to kill your opponent, so I'm adding on tech behind this. I'm adding on geysers, what I should be, mighty soon. And just in case of a run by, I should be walling this bit off. And it's worth putting the pile on there, because it's not very expensive, considering the good it does you. The good it does you. So you have to kill it off, it's only 100, so that's worth it. So here we go, paying off already. And here's the push coming. So I'm just going to check that he hasn't expanded here, move in to see if I can do any damage there, and then if I can't, which I will not be able to do any damage because of these, I'm going to check here as well. Just want to check everywhere, make sure he definitely hasn't expanded, because he's even on workers now. I don't want him getting ahead, and the hatchery is going to allow him to do that. So I'm getting my upgrades. I should be adding. I'm probably adding some more on. Yeah, we're getting Twilight Council. Lots of upgrades. Here's how effective this army is against Zerglings. So that's why I need to do this attack with this composition. Check that base. So I feel fine now. So I know my opponent's only made Zerglings, and I can't remember if I have or not. I haven't seen the geysers, but he has taken some geysers. So if I were to check that, I'd know that he has a lot of gas, and the gas has to be going on something. And that would mean probably Infestors or Mutalisks, one of those things. If he's made this many gas-heavy, mineral heavy units, he's going to make some gas-heavy ones. So I'm going to need to blink Stalkers to deal with the Mutas in that case. And I'm not worried about Infestors really, because people don't choose that very often. And I think Stalkers are fine really against Infestors, even though obviously the fungal growth can hurt them a lot. If you attack before they get too many, then that's game over. So constantly checking this. If I bite off more than I can chew and my opponent's army is too big, I can recall out. So these sort of pushes are fine. Keep denying that, and he's moving in just to check, try and do some damage. That didn't pay off. I'm getting loads of kills on here. These are paying off really nicely. If you look at the units lost, that is ridiculous because I'm keeping these units alive for so long. Swapping Stalkers to kill off Overlords. He's actually expanding down here, so I should be checking that soon. But I'm very responsive with my scouting, so I should be going down them right now. More stalkers coming in, more upgrades, chronoing that. Getting a double forge. Yeah, I got double forge. So I'm keeping heading upgrades. I know I'm at least even in economy as long as I keep him on 2 base. So unfortunately I lose this. Army, I didn't recall that in time, which is unfortunate. I know these are going to die, so I might as well use them to try and deny a base, which they are going to try and do. There's one here, but I didn't realise. I didn't scout it in time. And I'm going for mass Blink Stalker to deal with the Mucilisks. And I'd already started producing these because I knew Mucilisks was most likely. So I'm going to go for a Blink Stalker all in, because I know his economy can't be too far ahead of mine, and this is likely to kill him. Likely to kill him indeed. So I have the Blink, do a smart Blink out. And keep that walled off, because that's useful for a link counter-attack, and let's go for a push. So this is a lot of Stalkers, 8, 16, 23 of them against only 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, that's 23 Stalkers versus 13 Mucilisks. So obviously I want to keep them out of the sway of the Lings, but this is far too many, and this is 1-1 as well, opposed to just 0-0, and the Zerglings aren't upgraded either, so I have an upgrade advantage and an army advantage. Kind of going for a notice network seems like a good idea actually. I want to keep the counter-attacking going, though I prefer this play if I had a third. I prefer the nicest network if I had a third, because then I'd be spread out more. But in this situation, it's sort of easy for me to deal with a nicest network actually. So the push coming in here. And I'm going to keep denying these bases. This is up and running unfortunately for me, but I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. But you can't be everywhere at once. Keeping my double upgrades, well I should be anyway. But my upgrades are still far ahead. I'm at 2-1, and the other 2's coming. More stalkers coming, more flooding. I don't see infestors, so I just keep them coming. At this point, even if they have infestors, there won't be enough for me to be worried. Nicest network coming in. I just see the ping, get some guys in. That's not too hard to deal with. I have vision all over, apart from here actually. I should have a pylon there, so that's lucky for me that he didn't put it there. I go for like a little poke. I accidentally shoot my own guy. Oh dear. Wonder what that sound was. Maybe that must be email. So hell of a lot of stalkers, so that's 24, 33, 30, 31, I think 31, 24, I think 31 stalkers, and this is not nearly enough Mucilisks, so I'm really pushing my advantage here. The reason I'm not expanding is I don't want to spread out, because in that case it gives the Lings an advantage, it gives this an advantage, it gives the nicest network of an advantage. I'm much safer on 2 base where I can see everything. I'm shutting down another base to keep my opponent on two bases, which means we're even on economy. I'm ahead in upgrades, I'm ahead in army. I don't want him to have an economic advantage, so I have to keep shutting these down. So an economic advantage is the only way he's going to win. And I think he goes over for Infestors now. He's going for Infestors now. Good choice against the Blink Stalkers, obviously, considering the army he has. But I don't think he's going to have enough for it to be too effective. Keep checking, obviously. Massive army coming out here. He sees my army coming, so he returns. I would have liked to see a counter-attack from him, to be honest. But because that's the only way, it feels like the only way he's going to win. But this is a good surround, and Spine Crawl is helping out. I'm just trying to blink the best I can, because it's hard when every blink is into a pack of more Lings. But keep trying my best, and I keep bringing in the Stalkers. There's no reason to stop, and I keep having my upgrades going. So even though I'm making only Stalkers, I am progressing in tech. And this should be coming. I think it will do something soon. So I have a big upgrade lead, massive upgrade lead, actually really big. And I'm still even on economy because we've been on 2 bases this whole time. So more Stalkers coming in. So that's 24. That's 30. 32. 32, that's it. And I see a bunch of Mucilisks. I don't like that blink really. Aggressive blink's really not a good idea usually, but that works out well. That just happened to work out well that time. And if we look at the units lost, it's paying out really nicely for me. There's the Stalkers. We got 24, 32. Okay, keep a nice healthy army here. Off speed along. At this point, I'm going for my expand because my main's running out, and that's the only reason I want to stay on 2 bases as long as possible. I only did when I was forced to move out into a 3rd, and here's the final engagement. So he has to invest this up, but there's just not quite enough. And this seems like a good game for me. Good game to me. And pulling the drones. Stalkers go, Moose 4, and that's game. So I hope you learned something from that. Just the main thing to note is you need to do that push with the sentries and the zealots. And you just want to keep your opponent on 2 bases if they go for this big sort of semi all-in or all-in like aggression. Because if you allow your opponent to get ahead in economy, then you're doomed. So yes, see you later. Hope you enjoyed that.